This is titled Beyond CBD. We've talked a lot about CBD. We're going to go into the grain side of things, the fiber side of things, and all the other wonderful things that this plant can do besides all the cannabinoid stuff that's kind of driving the market right now.
So my name is Danny. Hello everybody, thanks for coming out today. We love putting this event on every year. This is our 4th year doing it, so thanks for coming out. It grows every year and more wonderful companies with their great products come, so thanks so much. A little about me, I've been in this industry, the cannabis industry, for almost 12 years. I started back in 2008 and it's been an amazing ride. I was in medical marijuana from 2008 to 2012, and I got into hemp right after that. And just my dad's Wild Bill, he was up here a little bit earlier, so we've worked together from the first farm and have helped, do a lot of things as far as pioneer and just create fun new outlets in this industry. And I'm just very passionate about this plant, and I feel that if we all put our wonderful minds together, we can really put some big impact and do some major change. And that's why we do these events, is to inspire people and to meet everybody and to, put our minds together. So that's what we're here for. So thank you so much. Woo-woo.
All right, thank you, Danny.
We can cheer, it's okay.
So this is, again, Beyond CBD, and Dion here has got SLB Hemp Company, and they've been really focusing on the grain side of the spectrum. And so why don't you let everybody know the opportunities, looking forward the next 3, 5, 10 years, where you see the opportunities outside of the cannabinoid market?
There's a whole nother industry that we're talking about on the food, fiber, fuel, all that kind of stuff. So everybody right now, that CBD is the main focus, but on the food side, from the human food all the way to the animal feed. Animal feed right now is a little iffy, but we're working on getting that going as well. But the feed side is huge, nutrition and fuel, plastics, all this other kind of stuff. Danny's doing wonderful things on the fiber side, which is huge. That's what this industry needs, is more traditional farming methods for true big scale farming. So there's a big outlet there for sure.
And Danny, you've obviously been on the cannabinoid side. You've got Nature's Root that's doing, it not only has hemp seed oil in your products, but you've got CBD and cannabinoids in there. I know that you've been working on some plastic sides of things and paper packaging.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on that?
So over the past quite a few years, I've been pushing towards this, but I feel over the past year there's really been some major developments towards it. But I'm working with 8 scientists that are now trying to figure out how to create biodegradable hemp plastics, as well as the polymers, everything across the board. And it's super exciting. So we're working with the cellulose, the hemicellulose, the lignin, and they are just going at it. And some of the creators of the plastic bags are some of the people that are in this project. So it's absolutely amazing to have those geniuses, work with these types of, plants all of a sudden to help the planet. And it's just big stuff. And that's like the plastics. And then, I have a wonderful partner, and we're working really hard to have our fiber facility open, by the end of this year, so that we have a decortication machine, as well as, the breakdowns within that, and then all of the waste for that to be done and processed to, so we don't, everybody that's growing, we can take your guys' waste and we'll be able to do something with it instead of it just sitting your, farm and rot, basically. So it's going to be good. Or burn it, which is bad for the universe too. There's really great things that's going on, so I'm proud to be a part of everything. This plant's the coolest thing ever.
Well, we definitely need decortication in Colorado. It's been lacking, not only in Colorado, really all across the country, with the exception of Kentucky has a facility called Sunstrand, who's been processing stocks for, I guess really since 2014, and they do other natural fibers as well. And the problem is when you talk about this material, these plants really need to be situated in a radius where all the materials are getting there from within 100 miles and probably ideally even 75 to 50 miles because of the transportation costs, and it's a low margin type of product. And I know, so I've got a hemp paper company, and I also make hemp guitars. I don't know if anybody out there knows that, but the guitar that's over here at our Colorado Hemp Company booth that's sitting up there, that guitar is actually made out of hemp. The body is, it's a bass fiber composite shell that's molded around a wood core. And when I got into this industry, it was really because of the fiber back in 2012. I come from the music industry, and I've done t-shirts and hats and printing and packaging, and my whole attraction to this was all the different things that can be done with this plant, really from an industrial standpoint, then the food standpoint, and then all of a sudden here's the cannabinoid thing, which to me was always on the other side of the plant, the marijuana side, the medical, the recreational side, which is now getting normalized on the nutritional side, which is great for everybody, great for the personal health of all of us. But this fiber side has so many opportunities. Again, we're making guitars out of it. You can make drums out of it. This didgeridoo thing over here. There's a guy named Paul Benham from Elixinol who's got a company with this guy Kevin Tubbs. It's hempplastic.com, and he originally made didgeridoos out of a hemp composite. So, and I think Danny, you've been talking with Paul too, right?
Working with Paul too. Yeah, Paul's a part of it. There's a whole bunch of great people that are a part of this new, plastics and hempcrete even as well. Hempcrete is a massive movement that's coming down that you can use from the decortication machine. What it does, decorticating, is it breaks down the fibers so that you have your hurd and then you have your fibers. So having that is going to be amazing, so that we can take that and go and build every type of hemp composite you can think of as far as for buildings. It's going to be absolutely awesome. And I just gave away a hempcrete house in Jamaica, the first one ever. So that was cool to have the building codes brought down there, and to yes, it's very, very exciting. We taught the locals, and it was really fun to be able to bring a new outlet, which is really what we need to be doing here. Is essentially growing our own houses, growing our own food, and growing our own medicine. So that's pretty much what this plant is for.
And growing our own guitars.
And our own guitars and shoes. I mean, we can grow everything. That's the greatest part about it.
You want to pass that over to Jeff? So Jeff was originally going to moderate this little session, and Jeff's a good friend of mine and worked for a company called Pure Hemp Technology that's got a biorefinery in Fort Lupton and separates the stock. You run it through there and it separates out into pulps, lignans, and sugars. And the guy, Ed Lehrberger, and his crew that developed this. It's an amazing technology that's waiting to be upscaled. Jeff's got a really good handle on all the different things, all the different ingredients that can be made with hemp, and he's created something called the Hemp Replacement Index. And again, I thought he'd be the perfect person to moderate it, but he got stuck eating this
Sorry about that
hamburger.
feedback.
That's okay.
What should I do about that?
Huh?
We're good?
Oh yeah, we're good. So
Cool. Yeah, so Jeff Cole, thank you. Sorry I was late.
oh, that's okay.
Sure.
You're not being
It's all
spanked
welcome,
up here.
Jeff. Let's give Jeff a round of applause.
Yeah, we love
guys.
Jeff. Jeff's awesome.
Jeff's awesome.
Funny. Thank you, Danny. Now that I'm good and embarrassed, absolutely. So the Hemp Replacement Index, I actually introduced that 3 years ago, right here.
Badass.
Yeah, it is. So imagine an index being a baseline of probability, like the average. It's like the IQ is, the average IQ is 100, all right? So 160 is a genius, like Danny.
I don't
An
know.
80 is like slow, off the bottom level, they're not average yet. And the Hemp Replacement Index baselines any product, anything. So how many things can you make out of hemp?
50,000 plus.
Morris, what do you think?
Thousands. We got to figure out what that number is, so we have to
50,000.
create the index.
That's exactly right. Okay, so somebody in the audience, raise your hand. Anybody who wants to make a product? Noah, how about you, buddy? And then speak up really loudly, all right?
I want to make a hemp tractor.
Nice. So a hemp tractor
Nice job,
would
baby.
fall in line if you had a list of 50,000 products. A hemp tractor would be there somewhere in line. And there could be an index that would say, if you do that now, Noah, it's this level of probability that you'll be successful. Okay? Yeah, absolutely.
What about like glasses, peripherals?
Glasses will have their own hemp index. Yeah,
That's all plastic, all on everybody's face.
right.
So we could turn those all into hemp, and it would be. There's one sunglass company out right now, but there could be many more. All it is 3D printing your glasses too. It's just printing it. So it's just getting the fibers, putting it in polymer, getting in a circular, thing, and feeding it through, and boom, you have yourself your glasses.
That's right. So cannabinoids, and since this is beyond cannabinoids, this panel, cannabinoids probably have a 3,000 index, and that's why it's so big right now. So Ed and Pure Hemp, as you know, I think, Morris, they're running this week or next week?
That's this week.
It's this week.
Their rolls.
Yep. Did you mention that yet?
No, so Ed from Pure Hemp Technology just launched Pure Hemp Pulp and Paper, and they are taking their pulp from their CCR, their counter current reactor, and they are running the first ever rolls of paper at a pilot press in Michigan with their pulp and testing out their pulp in a commercial fashion. And we've done some short run stuff here with a local company out of Boulder that's more hand sheet stuff, but Ed's finally got it to this commercial level for starting to do R&D. It's very exciting. He's put in a lot of time and energy and money into the process, and he's excited. I'm excited. It looks
Absolutely.
very promising at this point.
Exciting.
Absolutely. And I think that's the first time that paper will be printed in a production facility, like real production paper, since Prohibition. Yeah, which is pretty cool. Hey, Bill, nice to see you, man. Okay, so let's get to paper. What do you think the HRI might be for paper? It's very probable, very likely that it's going to be successful. You're successful with paper, Morris.
Yeah, so I've got a small paper company. There's not that much hemp paper on the planet right now. We've got 4 weights of paper. We do business cards. The little flyers that you see here with the schedules on them, that's all made out of hemp paper. And right now, our pulp comes from Europe because there's nobody in the United States that can make a pulp-ready, or hemp pulp that's ready to go right into the commercial line. And that's what Ed's working on. There's some other people working on it. And I can tell you that the demand for hemp packaging is out of this world. We get calls all the time. Printers get called all the time. They call me. Unfortunately, it's cost prohibitive because hemp pulp is like 6 to 8 times the cost of regular wood pulp. And until we get real adequate processing here in the United States and we get acreage to feed that processing and drive the price down where it ends up being $400 a ton or whatever it needs to be, that's where it has to be, so we can start seeing some of these big companies starting to use hemp to replace their paper.
And all that takes is growing more acres.
It does,
You know,
exactly.
So it's really just putting the seed in the ground, and really there's a lot of people that are upset about that situation because of the CBD, but we all kind of need to realize what's most important here, you know, and so the planet is kind of what's most important, because if we don't have that, we don't have a place to live. So let's put our heads together and like be a little bit smarter about what's important and maybe put energy towards those things instead of 1 billion people do CBD. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, you can make money in paper. Why do you think, hemp got put out? Was because of paper and oil. Like, come on, let's get real. Like, let's get it together, people. That's why we're here. Someone has a question. What's up? There's a list. You can come to me after. I'll give you a list of them. We have so many of them, but there's lots of them, and they're all fiber. They all hit above 10 feet. Yeah, I got you. Come up to me after.
Okay, so somebody else in the audience, let's list something that we can replace with hemp in a product. Anybody else? Okay, and what does graphene do? I'm asking you to speak loudly.
Circuit boards, batteries.
Graphene is the ingredient to batteries. into energy stuff that is powered. So imagine we take the fibers and we break that down and we take it into a hemp supercapacitor is what it's called. And so the hemp supercapacitors can come and basically light up everything that we need to light up if we really wanted to. So that's another industrial use.
Here's one thing that people haven't talked a whole lot about, and with Texas coming on board, and everybody know here that Texas just passed their hemp legislation.
Yeah.
And I tell you, a bunch of those cowboys down there are ready to start growing some hemp.
Yes, they are.
I was in Dallas back in April, and those people are excited. And I can tell you, the oil and gas industry is excited to have this crop down there because they're looking at the fiber aspects for loss prevention materials to be able to clean up the shit that they put out there. And so hemp is really going to be looked at by some of these industries, particularly the fossil fuel industry. How can it help clean up the mess that they've been creating for the last 100 years? So I think that, you know, us earth lovers here need to embrace our petroleum friends, not only here, but across the country. How can we help you guys clean up the mess that's got us to this point? So I see that it's exciting because oil and gas has amazing technology. The billions and billions and billions of dollars that have been subsidized to do this R&D and all this science. You take that technology and you start applying it to the plant world, and how can we start making the switch over? That's what we got to encourage. And so we got to make friends with these people. They're not yet. I think a lot of these people know what they've done is like, wow, we're kind of fucked up right now. If we don't do something, 10, 20, 30 years down the road, we're going to really have some problems. So I look at this as an opportunity for partnering with some of these industries that haven't been very good to our planet.
No doubt. There's a lot of different applications. The biggest thing is we got to have processing to get it to that step of what they need.
You can go over to the Colorado Hemp Project booth and see what lost circulation material looks like. LCM is the waste cleanup of what Morris was just talking about. It's basically the fiber of the plant, hammer milled down, and so that you can have this very fine powder, and it's an amazing absorption material for all different types of waste, spills and stuff. So you can go check it out. We have multiple bags over there that you can see and fill, so it's pretty neat.
Okay, so just one more replacement of something from hemp. Anybody? Right there. A snowboard. There we go. Yeah.
I've got a friend that's making them. Patrick Flerte, PF Design Lab.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So from an HRI, a snowboard would have relatively low capital investment and barriers, and HRI therefore would be like probably 800. So you're like 8 times more likely to be successful if you replace wood for a snowboard. That's what the HRI does.
When we did the house build, we did comparisons on costs, and it cost a third less to create a hempcrete house versus a concrete house. So it was absolutely amazing. That was importing the products. Imagine if you grew your own house. It takes 2 acres to grow 1,000 square foot house. And it's absolutely amazing. So you can do it in 5 months and build it in 2. So you have your house, within a year. And that was, the push down there. And anybody can do it around the world, as long as you got land, 2 acres, you can grow it, cut it down, and build yourself a house on an acre. It's pretty sweet. The whole thought of it was pretty neat. Anyways, I don't know. I get excited about little things like that.
Well, before we wrap this whole thing up, I want to ask Dion a little bit more on the grain side of things, because that's where he's focused. How do you see the grain market and potential future products being made from the grain and the oil? Where is that going to go?
Because that's awesome.
So to answer Danny's there, I got about 2,500 acres under cultivation this year. A lot of grain.
That's awesome.
A lot,
Like the boss.
a lot focused on grain and fiber production. That's where we've been at from the very beginning. So to your point, Morris, we've seen a lot just recently open up in the paint industry on the hemp seed oil side. So paints, thinners, that kind of stuff, which is really good for the whole world really, to look at that and say, okay, now we were just looking at hemp seed oil as omega-3, 6, 9 fatty acids, all that kind of stuff. And now opening up into a more industrial scale is huge. And then also on the feed side, like I said earlier, the feed side hasn't opened up yet, but we see a huge, huge opportunity on the feed side for this byproduct after we press the hemp seed oil out, the hemp meal, cake, anything like that. So there's a huge, huge opportunity on a more industrial, true farming scale, at scale for big farmers.
And when it comes to the hemp feed side of things, there's an organization called the Hemp Feed Coalition that Margaret is on, as well as a couple other people. Are you on it too, Dion?
Yep.
Okay. And where are we at with the FDA and when this might be available as commercial products hitting the market?
Still trying to get the studies done, Purdue and CSU and that kind of stuff, some private organizations. We got to get a lot of studies done. I talked with Hunter and it sounded like possibly a little over a year. We could possibly have some clarification on some stuff. It's more of getting the right product into the right people's hands to get these studies done.
Is it not true that this is already being done in Europe and they already went through that study and those guys are already using this and it's all available over there, correct?
Correct.
And we can't take their studies, we have to redo everything over here, correct?
That's what I understand.
Well, that's unfortunate when it's already been really proven and safety and all of that stuff over in 30 other countries that are doing it right now.
Their biggest concern, I think, is how I understood it was they're looking at carryover of THC or CBD into finished eggs for the market, finished meat, that kind of stuff. So it's one of those deals that we got to prove to them, I guess, on that scale, because when you start off a seed in the first place, we're looking at nothing with CBD or THC in it in the first place. So it's just going through these avenues to get this straightened out.
Question?
If the regulations were bumped up from 23% to 1%, are we still completely safe as far as THC levels in the animal feed, human consumption, everything? Is that 0.3% such an arbitrary number that it could be 1% or 2%, it's really the same thing, or not?
I don't think it comes down to that at all, honestly. Because you're starting with a seed. The seed itself, when you press that seed oil, does not have any cannabinoids whatsoever. It's omega-3, 6, 9, your fatty acids, all that. So we're starting out with something that doesn't have it in the first place. And so we just got to prove that it's not getting carried over. Now, if we turn and look at feed as the forage or the flower material after CBD extraction, before CBD extraction, that's a whole nother avenue that we don't really want to touch right now, because of what's come up with the feed application from the seed that doesn't even start out with that. So.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure what we're going to do with this equipment panel, because I think that Andy and those guys said they were going to do a demonstration in the field at 2. That's what was going to come up after this. Is anybody here from the equipment panel? Doug Fine? Corbett?
Is there any questions?
Yeah, so I think we might as well just keep on doing this. I think that if you were interested in, there is a demo that Bish is doing over here for their drone technology, flying over the crop. But if not, then we're just going to kind of continue on with any questions. Is there any other questions regarding fiber, grain, what's beyond CBD, or anything else for that matter? Okay?
I really honestly couldn't hear you.
Did you hear that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. I was trying,
but
but like,
using
I really
screws.
couldn't.
Screws and replacement parts out of hemp.
Oh, interesting.
So it just dissolves in your system like dissolvable stitches. Interesting.
Yeah, that would be cool. I don't know nothing about that though.
What do you think the HRI would be?
I don't
700 maybe?
know. I don't even know. I wouldn't even.
And the
I wouldn't-
baseline is 0?
Yeah.
100 is the baseline. Average success would be 100. So more likely to be successful.
Then that, yeah, that would be, yeah.
By the way, everything, here's the key about that. It's that everything hemp related, there's nothing below 100. Everything has a chance to be successful. Everything is more likely to be
exciting.
better if you use hemp. For sure.
Other questions? There we go.
What would be a good way for like a small acreage CBD guy like myself to kind of break into this or to be involved in industrial industries? I mean, are there going to be like opportunities for investment, or do you think it's more like should I start looking at leasing ground and being a grower than anything? I mean, where am I needed?
The options are really endless. It really depends on what your passion is. If you want to invest in a company, there's multiple places that you can invest in the fiber world right now. I'm an investor in SunStrand. I just invested in SunStrand, which is that fiber company out of Kentucky. We have contracts with Patagonia and Wrangler and Levi's. And, huh? Nah, but we're dink, 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 dink. It's in the process.
They are going through a raise right now. I don't know if they've got their entire raise done.
They were pretty solid on that.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
But there's that. I mean, you could, with a small acreage like that, you could think about, taking your profits off that and getting more land to do larger, industrial acreage, or you could look at going into a processing plant. I mean, there's so many options. If you're super interested, I'll talk to you after, and I'll give you like multiple, companies and outlets to contact and whatnot, because there's just so many out there. Just depends on what you're mostly interested in. Yeah.
There are going to be some big fiber and all-in-one processing plants that pop up across the country over the course of the next 5 years.
Massive. Yeah.
There's a company, Canopy Growth, out of Canada, who's committed $1 billion worth of United States investment to building out infrastructure, and a lot of that's going to be processing, and just not from the cannabinoid side of things, but from the fiber and grain with these mega processing facilities. The first one's going to be in New York, although there's some hiccups in that too. There's legality things with the Canadians coming in here, and they're also dabbling on the other side of the plant and trying to be everything to everybody. But there is going to be tremendous amounts of investment when it comes to these super plants that'll plop up in probably 8, 10, 12 states in the course of the next 3 or 4 years.
Definitely. For sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm being one of those. I got one of those going. So
Yeah,
if you want to talk, I'll definitely talk to you after.
And no matter your interest, I mean, it's food, fiber, or medicine, even though on the CBD side, you can't really say it's medicine. But those are your 3 categories. Everybody has an interest in one of those
there's
areas.
About to be fuel. There's about to be fuel,
Right.
though. I mean, I'm working
Sure.
on biodiesel stuff. I mean, there's so much that's going on that's like to be, put your toe dabbled in. I mean, like everybody can be a part of this. It's like I said, it's your passion. Yes. Oh yeah. And they're getting on it quicker and quicker because they understand the mass that's coming. I mean, Bish is, one of the pioneers in these like hemp processing here in the United States, at least, as far as like, harvesters and whatnot. And then, Colorado and Oregon and California have some of the best CBD processing in the world, that people are taking and then spreading across the world. So, I would say we have some of the best stuff that you can find. There's definitely great fiber stuff over in the UK, but, over in EU, I'm tired, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. I'm tired, you guys.
Okay.
I
Any other
just came from
questions?
Spain.
I think we're going to try to get the processing and extraction people up here, which, Jeff, you're actually going to do that. Did you know that? There you go. So you can contribute to this and contribute to the next one, too. So, Bill Abbott. Bill in the house?
Hey, Bill.
John House and
Thank
Dustin?
you guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.